Hey everyone, and welcome to another GameXplain discussion. I'm your host, Derek Bittner, and I'm joined today by Ash Polson to discuss the Sonic the Hedgehog panel at South by Southwest, including Sonic Mania and Sonic Forces. So let's get started. Alright Ash, so we were somehow able to watch this panel. It was a little bit tricky with all the different, not being able to have an official live stream, but fortunately we had a lot of fans there and we were able to watch most of the stream and get a sense of what this panel was like. So what'd you think of this panel overall, just right at the start?
First of all, I hate South by Southwest. I don't even have any context for what they do or why I would ever want to go. I'm sure they're great. But come on, how do they not approve an official stream for their panels, including the Sonic panel? It was so hard to hear what they were talking about in the unofficial, cell phone streams that from the audience. But shout outs to those of you in the audience again. Thank you guys for being there and streaming it when South by Southwest wouldn't. It was a mix, of course, of some disappointments like the Sonic Mania delay, but also some genuine hype like Sonic Mania in general, and now we know about Sonic Forces. And I think Aaron Weber, as usual, did a great job keeping it well paced. It was fun. They opened with an image of Sonic. I knew as soon as I saw them open with an image of Sonic that this was going to be a really fun hour.
Oh yeah, because it's Aaron. You have Mike Pollock there. You have Roger Craig Smith. They have just this great chemistry they've built up over the years, and they get a real sense of what their fans like, what their fans are into, and you could totally tell that they were playing to the crowd the entire time. People were just eating that up. As far as why South by Southwest wasn't allowing streams, I have no idea. I've seen cons with much smaller audiences, or just size-wise, allow streams. So I don't know what the heck was going on there, but whatever. At least we got the info. We got to see all this stuff. So of course, Sonic Forces is the big thing here, but let's begin with Sonic Mania instead. Make you guys wait a little bit, because we did get some more information, and that includes a new group of villains, which actually makes a lot of sense considering we haven't really seen Eggman yet, but we've seen boss fights, and apparently our villains are the hard-boiled heavies, and they've only shown one of them, which is Heavy Gunner, which they had artwork on the Sonic Twitter before. And I gotta say, what do you think of this? I mean, we don't know much, but what do you think of this new batch of enemies?
Well, I think we've only actually seen one mini-boss so far, so I don't think we've even seen any of the hard-boiled heavies in gameplay yet. So I assume they'll be end-of-act bosses and not just, end-of-act 1 bosses. But yeah, I mean, they look cool. They look like a pretty typically Eggman designed set of mechs, but I'll be curious to see how each one is differentiated from the other. Of course, we've seen Heavy Gunner today. I assume, I'm getting kind of like a Smash, me Gunner, me Sword Fighter, me Brawler type thing. So maybe we'll see like a Heavy Brawler or like a melee type and a Heavy Sword user, something like that. So I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of the hard-boiled heavies are going to look like. And I think this indirectly answers a question some people have had about Mirage Saloon Zone, because if you're watching gameplay footage of Mirage Saloon,
it has that picture.
Yeah, of that picture of that Eggman mech, and before people were like, was that just one of those egg robos from like Sonic 3 and Knuckles? Well, no, it must be now one of the hard-boiled heavies.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of cool that they took the egg robo design and just sort of went nuts with it with all these different ideas. Like, I don't know what Heavy Gunner looking like a cop has to do with Green Hill Zone, because I think that's what he's the boss of, but who knows, it might be something else. But it's still, actually it would be better if it's Studiopolis, like he's a security guard. That's
true, yeah. Well, it's interesting because we know there are 6 hard-boiled heavies, which kind of makes me, of course, think of the Deadly Six again. And I obviously, I think we can be pretty sure there will be more than 6 zones in the game. So I guess we're not looking at, one hard-boiled heavy per zone here necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, I'd expect 7 zones, just because, we have the 6 hard-boiled heavies, and then, of course, Eggman himself.
Right.
And then maybe an extra level for like Supersonic, if they want to have like a bonus ending like that, but of course still allow Supersonic to be used throughout the actual gameplay, because there's no doubt in my mind that Supersonic will be playable through the main levels.
I kind of get the sense though that I wonder if the hard-boiled heavies are only going to be the bosses of the new zones, because based on what Sega or maybe just Takashi Iizuka has said, I believe Sonic Mania is supposed to be a fairly long game, or at least a long, epic game, kind of in the vein of Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Now, I don't know how confirmed that is, but what I've heard so far suggests that Sonic Mania will be longer than just 7 zones. So I'm wondering if maybe the hard-boiled heavies are only used in the new zones, while maybe we get remixed versions of old Eggman mechs in the returning zones.
That could be. I could totally see that. It makes sense and
Yeah.
be a great way to just expand it and make those new levels feel all the more new. I'd be down for that. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, but it's cool.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, before we move on to the next one, just one last thing. I love the name of these things, like Eggman and his hard-boiled heavies. That's
absolutely
wonderful.
No, it's a great name, and you said earlier that we're going to make them wait for the big thing, which is Sonic Forces. But I got to tell you, I mean, I am excited about Forces, but we're discussing the big thing for me right now.
I guess that is true. Yeah. So, speaking of that, how hard did it hit you that we got a delay from spring to summer of 2017?
So, initially, it did hit me hard because I was like, the way they were preparing the announcement, I could tell that we were in for a delay. Like, I knew they weren't just going to say, okay, it's coming out on May, whatever. I was like, okay, they're setting this up for a delay. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, okay, as excited as I am, it's only a delay to summer, at least so far. So it's only a couple of months, which isn't that bad. And you know what? I really love that this proves Sega is willing to delay things if they need to be delayed. They're not going to force a Sonic game to release before it's ready anymore. And that's so important because that is exactly what led to Sonic 2006. And, all the Sonic Heroes is okay, but Sonic 2006, Shadow the Hedgehog, I mean, so much of what Sonic has gone through and his low points have been because Sega has been unwilling to delay a game. Like Rise of Lyric. Rise of Lyric had to come out by the holiday season that year and could not have been held back to make it better. Mm-hmm. Now we're seeing a different Sega. Sega clearly knows when a game needs to be held back to make it better, and they seem to know how important it is that Sonic Mania knocks it out of the park. So you know what? I trust their judgment. If Sega's willing to delay it, then I would rather them delay it.
Yeah, because it just, even if it's like, it's technically ready by spring, just having that 3 months of extra polish and making sure everything is just solid to go is great to see. And of course it stinks, but hey, having more stuff to play in the summer is always a good thing in my book because summer is a dead zone most of the time when it comes to video game releases. So popping that baby right in the summer and, good. I mean, that feels like a good summer game.
It does.
To me.
It does feel like a good summer game, and to be honest, in the back of my mind, I had kind of wondered if it was going to make spring anyway because they had been so mum on the release date, and it's March 16th now, that when we're recording this, so, we're already kind of getting into spring, and I just kind of had a feeling, well, if they haven't talked about a date yet, we might be looking at a short delay, and thankfully it does seem to be a short delay. Now, if summer gets here, and then we see another delay to fall or the holidays, then I might be singing a different tune. But, I get it. Games need more time to get that extra bit of polish, and more than anything, I want them to get it right with Sonic Mania. And so far, what I've played and what I've seen, they are getting it right. So, you know what? Let's give them the time they need.
Yeah, exactly. And there seems to be a lot of love behind this between, the collector's edition box and the statue they showed off with the Sega jingle, the key art they were shown, and the other artwork they've had.
Oh, that key art was so nice.
It's such a great mix of modern day and just that retro style that just works so well with Sonic Mania. And of course, the thing that you're probably most interested in, the fact that they're gauging interest in a Sonic Mania vinyl.
Yeah, so apparently I mistweeted that before, because we couldn't hear the stream all that well. I thought that they had confirmed that they were making a Sonic Mania vinyl, but apparently they're just gauging interest in one. So I implore any of our listeners who care even a little bit about this, tweet at Sega and tell them that you want it, because even if you don't, I do. So tell them for me that I want this, that you want this Sonic Mania vinyl, because I want it so badly, and I'm already going to go and tell Sega, please make this thing. I want it so much. Oh my God.
I don't know, Ash. That sounds like an abuse of power to me.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah, but see, but then the world just gets more Sonic music on vinyl. Actually, Sonic music on vinyl, period. And everyone's better off, right?
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
That is very true. No, it's great that they're doing all this extra stuff for it. It's really exciting. I don't know if I'll get the collector's edition or not. It kind of, like, the thing that would seal the deal for me for that collector's edition is if it had a physical copy of Mania. And because it doesn't, I'm like, the statue's cool, the box is neat, probably good.
I think for me, I guess I've made my peace with it not coming on like with the physical version. Like, I would like that too. But I've made my peace with that. I think for me, the big missing component of the collector's edition is the soundtrack. I just feel like, and I know I harp on the soundtrack a lot, but that's just because we're talking about Sonic. Like, if we were talking about another series collector's edition, maybe I wouldn't necessarily feel the need to have a soundtrack, but this is Sonic. And, like, I feel like almost half the reason a lot of people are excited for Sonic Mania is because of the soundtrack. So, I don't know. I think when you're talking about a Sonic's collector's edition, you got to have the soundtrack as part of the conversation.
No, you're pretty much right. I mean, say what you will about Sonic 06, most people agree that the soundtrack of Sonic 06 is pretty freaking great. You know?
Yeah, no, exactly. That was like the one part of that game that was great, and I mean that was like even in Sonic Generations, that was, you know, Crisis City was like done really well musically, and so Sonic has this musical legacy that I feel like if you're going to put together a collector's edition, that should be part of it.
I can definitely see that. But we did get a few more details about Sonic Mania. First of all, we got a super pixelated close-up view of another brand new zone that's coming to the game. Unfortunately, because it's shown the way it is, I have no idea what the heck that thing's about. It looks like, I mean, maybe this guy, like, if I'm going to say anything off the top of my head, pirate ship.
I don't know why. I haven't even been able to muster up a guess yet. Like, I don't even... I mean, again, we have nothing to go off of because we know it's one of the brand new zones. So we can't base it on anything. We can't just go look at old zones because it's not an old zone. So, yeah, I don't know what to think. I mean, it looks like maybe there will be some sort of theme, like, regarding water. Because you were saying pirate ship. And there does seem to be some blue and some... I mean, but these are just the most surface-level observations. Like, I just feel like how could we possibly know?
Exactly. It's hard to know and all that stuff. But I don't know. It's for some reason a pirate ship just first thing to spring to mind with that whole element, and especially since, you know, we have the Old West, we have a movie studio, we have the hard-boiled heavies looking, and one of them looks like a cop. I could see a hard-boiled heavy looking like a pirate, so why not? Let's go pirate ship.
I'd be fine with that.
It'd be interesting too, plus underwater level with a unique theme.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens, but I gotta say, super excited. Like, you wouldn't think you'd be excited about old levels returning, but then they chose Flying Battery Zone, and yes.
Hell yes. Because the way they did it too was they asked the audience to close their eyes, and then they started playing the music. So
and as soon as you hear it, you know.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this game because I know as soon as they play that song, I'm gonna identify the zone. And it was, of course, Flying Battery. And now we have both since watched the 30 seconds of footage of Flying Battery that Sega has released, and oh man, like I can't with this game. I'm so excited, and 30 seconds of that remastered, you know, redone Flying Battery music is not enough. It isn't enough. I'm so hyped for this.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. You talk about how they revealed it and asked people to listen to listen first or keep their eyes closed. I've gone on record many times about how I am terrible with identifying music unless it's super recognizable to me. Flying Battery is one of those things. Nice. That's how memorable that song is to me and how memorable that level is to me. Flying Battery is just like, as soon as those first few notes, I'm like, oh crap. I actually knew that one. And that was a good feeling. But no, you're right. It looks like a lot of fun. I love the new elements they're putting in there. Of course, they got the magnetized stuff in there. I love those trash piles where you could see old signs with Eggman's face on them from goal signs and whatnot. Yeah,
it's so good. Like you said earlier, there just seems to be so much love being poured into this game. Like, you can just tell that they're having a blast making it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's really cool how they showed all three characters and just showed how fast even Knuckles can go, because how he was going from pole to pole to pole, like just launching himself to become faster, and that was... it looks so good. So, no, I'm right there with you. I am super excited for Sonic Mania. Cannot wait to play more of it. It'd be so nice if they released that demo so we could just play, just a demo of even if it was just Green Hill Zone, just let us play those levels over and over and over again.
I know, right? And now we have a little longer to wait, but they'll probably show some new stuff off around E3 time, I would imagine now, since we know the game will be coming out probably after E3. And, I mean, I'm so excited about this. And I feel like, of course, like any game, we'll have to wait till it's out to render our final judgment, but just based on what we've seen and played so far, it just feels like there's so much confidence behind this game. Like, it feels like there's almost no way this game is going to come out and be disappointing. It could. We never know. But it just feels like there's a lot of confidence and a lot of internal excitement about this game.
No, I completely agree. Like you said, it's a confidence, and it might be bad. I really don't see that happening.
Yeah, I would be shocked if it turned out to be anything less than exactly what we think it's going to be, which is like a proper revival of 2D Sonic.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll have to wait and see, but that's pretty much everything they talked about when it comes to Sonic Mania, and of course we're both super excited about it. Like, to give an indication, I don't know if you've said this publicly before, but you're actually more excited for Sonic Mania than Super Mario Odyssey.
Yeah, I think I have suggested that on Twitter, but yeah, I mean, it's so hard to directly compare how excited you are about two completely different games, but if I were to order all the games I'm looking forward to the most in 2017, it would have gone Zelda, which is now out, Sonic Mania, Smash Switch, and then Mario Odyssey. But that doesn't mean that I'm like, it's not binary. I'm not 100% more excited about Sonic than I am Mario. It's just kind of an overall sense, you know?
Exactly. It's not like because you're super excited for this one thing and you're not as excited for this. It's not like it's like a huge canyon of a difference. No.
Right. Literally all it means is if I had to choose one game to have on a sooner release day, it would be like Sonic Mania, of course. But I'm excited for Mario as well, of course.
Choose your child.
Exactly. Basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we have actually even more Sonic. Actually, even thinking about this, I kind of forgot that Sonic 2017 was coming out this fall, presumably.
I think holiday, right?
Yeah, holiday or something like that. Who knows when it's coming out? But it's kind of funny that both Sonic and Mario will have new games this holiday, and that's crazy to think about. But yes, they finally talked more about Sonic 2017, and it has the official name of Sonic Forces. So, what do you think of the name?
I'm fine with it. I think it's, we won't know until we see more of the game and how the concept of forces actually plays into the game, but I'm fine with it. I mean, it's Sonic Forces. It sounds cool. It rolls off the tongue well. I mean, yeah, I think it really just, we'll have to wait and see how appropriate it actually is.
Yeah, the sense it gives to me, and I've seen some various things, so nobody's really, I think, sure, like, here's the name, is like, oh yeah, that's a great name. Yeah, I don't think it's one of those things.
Yeah.
But it's also one of those things that I think once you know more about it, it makes more sense. And to me, at least the way it seems, and especially what we've seen from the trailer, and even the gameplay, which we'll get into soon, it feels to me like Sonic Forces is going to be bringing different elements together. So it's Sonic gathering up a team, essentially. And of course we have classic Sonic as part of that team, and who knows what else to change up the gameplay. And I think that's a really good idea, to just like keep things varied and, I don't know, interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, they did say that they're going to talk more about Sonic Forces at a later date, but until then, for us to understand that the concept of the forces of good battling the forces of evil, and for control, I guess, of the world, or for control of the fight, I don't know, but that the concept of forces and power is very important to Sonic Forces in general. So again, it's just one of those things where we're trying to judge a name before we really know too much about what that name actually entails in the game. But yeah, I mean, it sounds cool to me. I think my favorite part about the name so far is that I was on Twitter and I saw somebody, of course, already did a little Photoshop where it's like the Sonic Forces logo with text next to that saying his fans to stop talking about Sonic Adventure 3. So I thought that was really good. I'm like, okay, this name's already good to me.
See, I didn't see that one. I saw people look at the logo for Sonic Forces and compare it to sort of how it looks like Tony Hawk's Underground 2.
Oh, okay.
And took out Tony Hawk and so put in Sonic Underground 2.
Nice.
Of course, based off the TV show.
Oh man, I'd be all about that. Not really, but.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would be that excited about Sonic Underground returning.
Exactly.
I think there's a lot of potential here. Of course, I don't want to say anything too concrete or otherwise, but I think Sonic Forces is a decent title, and it hopefully gets the point across. We'll see. But they did actually show some modern Sonic gameplay, and tomorrow morning, and if you're watching this later, it's probably already up, they're going to be showing this the gameplay that they showed at the panel, so we'll have a much better look at exactly how it looks. But we did get a little bit of an idea of exactly how Sonic Forces is going to play, and right off the bat, they've scored major points with me just for the fact that boost gameplay is back. Like, I still remember coming off of the high of Sonic Generations.
Totally.
And loving that game to death and seeing the announcements for Sonic Lost World and thinking, yes, give me more. Sonic is back on a roll. Give it to me. I want to see it. And then, of course, Sonic Lost World ended up being a completely different play style.
Yeah.
Not necessarily bad, but different and not nearly as polished, in my opinion, as Generations. And to see them go back to that is like, thank you.
Totally.
Because they really found a formula that worked between Sonic Colors and Generations, and to see them actually even just going to Unleashed as well. So building up and just see them further refine this is a great opportunity, because that's the thing that Sonic's always had trouble with. They keep changing the gameplay styles.
Right.
And now that they found this gameplay style that works, they're sticking with it, and hopefully we'll get something that's just even more of an evolution of what we've already gotten.
I'm so happy that they're going back to the modern Sonic boost-based gameplay from Unleashed, Colors, and Generations. That is absolutely the style of gameplay that I feel works best for Sonic in a modern context. And it's not as if that's going to be the whole game, but that is one style of the gameplay so far. And Sega has said that there are, as far as I understand, 3 distinct styles of gameplay. You've got Modern Sonic, Classic Sonic, and then who knows who the third one is. But yeah, I totally agree. Like, Sonic Lost World was it was a cool experiment. I didn't think it was a bad game. I didn't think it was great, but it was fine, and it was a fun experiment, and it was something different. But it came at a time when Sega had demonstrated that they had finally figured out a rhythm for modern Sonic. They finally figured out how to make Sonic work in a modern context, and then they just abandoned it to do Lost World. And again, not a bad game, but they found something that worked, and I just wanted them to keep refining that. And now they are. They are in Sonic Forces. For modern Sonic's gameplay, they are refining what worked before, and I'm so excited. I mean, none of the footage we saw today, it didn't push any boundaries necessarily, but I wasn't necessarily wanting it to either. Like, it looks like modern Sonic from Sonic Generations, but with current generation graphics, and I can't ask for anything more from modern Sonic. I'm looking more to classic Sonic and the third character, whoever that is, if there are 3, to change things up a little more. But even if Classic Sonic is just a more refined version of Classic Sonic's gameplay in Generations, I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with any of that, because that's the thing, is like, Generations is my favorite 3D Sonic, and my hope was, after that game, was like, okay, we have our throwback to the classics and nostalgia fest with this. Let's see what they could do with this idea and make it its own game with new concepts. And Sonic Forces is the thing that's finally doing that. And that's what has me more excited than anything. I know how the game's going to play. I know how they're like, I got the puzzle pieces. Now we're just connecting them to see what the full picture is going to be. But those starting pieces are pretty exciting. Like what they're like teasing us so far, and classic Sonic gameplay, that's good too. Yeah, it's fine too. And who knows what the third gameplay style is going to be? Maybe they'll actually have Dreamcast Sonic, what they were talking about at some point for Generations.
Right. Now maybe this is just me, but I always considered Dreamcast Sonic just to be modern Sonic. Like, I've never considered Dreamcast Sonic separate from modern Sonic.
When I say that, I mean it would be more in the style of the adventure game.
Sure. Which I wonder, I kind of feel like, though, that there wouldn't be enough of a way to differentiate between the modern and Dreamcast Sonic as characters. Mm-hmm. So I have to think that we'd be looking at Boom Sonic for the third Sonic. Like, unless they are completely abandoning the entire Boom franchise and world and timeline, which they might be. But as far as I understand it, Sonic Boom the cartoon's still doing fine. So they may try to give Boom Sonic one more shot at life in the gaming world in Sonic Forces.
That's really hard to say, because I could see people like, forget Boom Sonic, let's have an actual different character other than Sonic. Make the third gameplay style based around Tails or Knuckles or Blaze or heck, Shadow, or maybe even give Silver a shot and give him like, if they could find a way to make his gameplay work, then yes, give him a shot.
I hate that character so much. I accept Shadow for who he is. I like what Shadow is supposed to be. He's obviously a caricature, and I'm cool with that. Silver just makes me want to claw my eyes out. I cannot stand that character. I just can't. I can't do it.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, give the spotlight to somebody, to a non Sonic for the third style of gameplay and see what they could do there. Personally, my favorite character is Knuckles, so I'd prefer a Knuckles gameplay, but if you're going popularity-wise, you're going to make it Shadow. So
yeah, it would have to be Shadow. It's just so funny that we're having this conversation because several years ago we were having, or people in general were having the opposite conversation, which is like, we have all these spin-offs, we have all these other characters, we just want Sonic back. Just give us a game where you play as Sonic. And now we have, all these Sonic games, and now an upcoming game where you play as 2 or possibly 3 Sonics. And now we're talking about, well, it'd be really cool if we could play as, a character who's not Sonic.
The thing is, I think that I watch quite a fair bit of Sonic YouTubers, and I consider many of them to be friends. And a lot of the things that they say makes a lot of sense to me. And the fact that it's not that they don't want to play as these other side characters, but they work best if it's Sonic but can do this.
Sure.
So, Tails, Sonic but can fly. Knuckles, Sonic but can climb and break things. And when you get too far away from that gameplay, such as the shooting gameplay, which I thought was fine in Sonic Adventure 2, or fishing, or whatever, the completely different style of gameplay that just muddles things, that's when you get into the trouble. Like, they need to, they have their base, work off of that base while finding a way to make Sonic still stand out. And the way you do that nowadays seems to be boosting. Or, in Sonic Mania's case, being able to use the shields.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they are refining modern Sonic's gameplay for Sonic Forces, so I fully expect them to also, I don't think we're just going to see a copy-paste of classic Sonic's gameplay from Generations. I fully expect them to kind of, tweak that as well and hopefully modernize it a bit. Of course, it'll look better, no doubt about that. But I think what I'd want to see from classic Sonic gameplay improvements, most of all, is a bump to 60 frames per second. I always thought as fun as the classic Sonic stages were in Generations, I felt that they were a little hamstrung by the fact that they ran at 30 frames per second on consoles. So I feel like for a platforming game like that, it would be nice if we could get 60 frames per second for the 2D levels at least.
I can see that happening because they did boast that they have a new engine for this game, the Hedgehog Engine 2.
Right.
And the original Hedgehog engine looked freaking gorgeous, especially
really
Unleashed.
Did.
Unleashed was a beautiful game. Whatever else you have to say about it, it's like one of the best looking Sonic games out there. And
it really is.
To see what they can do going even further with that, with this new engine on higher powered consoles, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, me too. And of course, it's too early to say, but this feels, like Sonic Mania, I've almost completely decided, I have decided I'm going to get on Switch because I want to play it on the go and be able to play it wherever I want. But this seems like Sonic Forces seems to be the kind of game where I might think twice before getting it on Switch. Like, because we're looking at obviously more hardware power here, and this is a graphically intensive game, this might be the kind of game I might specifically go for on, like, PS4, for example, over Switch, just because I do want that extra graphical fidelity. But, of course, we don't know yet. I mean, we don't know how big the differences will be.
Yeah, exactly. Although I do agree with you. Like, Mania, probably going to get it for the Switch, because I do think the Switch is perfect for these indie-style games, and I know Sonic Mania isn't an indie game, but it kind of fits that mold. But for Forces, I'm probably going to get it on PS4.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't normally call myself a graphics snob, but when I have the option between one or the other,
exactly.
I'm going to go with Sonic Forces on the PS4.
Yeah, I mean, hell, I got a PS4 Pro. You never even know what they might do for Pro owners specifically. So, I mean, if you've got both, why not, right? I mean, if you're talking about a graphically intensive game, if you have the option, why not go? Unless you really want to have Sonic Forces to play on the go, and that's a completely fair trade-off, if that's what you would prefer.
And I'm pretty sure it looked pretty dang good on that.
It'll still look really nice, I think, on the Switch. Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's all a matter of taste at that point. We have to see more, of course. It's going to be a little while until we actually can compare that kind of thing. But even going beyond that, they showed off one more thing about the game, and that's a preview of its theme song, which is being done by Tomoya Ohtani, as well as the rest of the music. And I love in your notes here from your Twitter is like, it's butt rock.
Yeah, it's butt rock. And while I wouldn't normally listen to butt rock outside of the context of Sonic, when you're talking about Sonic, that's all. It's got to be that. The theme song has to be butt rock. And I gotta say, that did sound a little bit like Crush 40. Please, God, let it be Crush 40. Please.
well, as we said, we saw it was Ohtani, but maybe Crush 40 did the actual thing. Maybe they'll have the
That's
lyrics
what I mean.
or something like that. Yeah.
Like, I know Ohtani's doing the the soundtrack for Forces, but I'm hoping that they're bringing in Crush 40 to do the theme song.
It's not a Sonic game if we don't have a modern Sonic game if we don't have some sort of crazy theme song to go with it.
No, I want the glorious return of Crush 40, like live and learn style Crush 40, just go crazy. I really want like the cheesiest butt rock theme song possible for this game, like so badly.
Although I did like the Sonic Colors theme.
I did too. Reach for the Stars.
Reach for the Stars. That's it.
I really that song is so catchy. As silly as the lyrics are, it's so catchy.
Oh, you don't pay attention to the lyrics at all. Yeah, and there's, even beyond Crush 40, there's a lot of other really great Sonic songs. Like I'm actually personally a pretty big fan of Dreams of Absolution from Sonic.
Oh God, yeah, Dreams of an Absolution. That's one of my favorite songs. Like I think that's one of the first songs that my wife and I bonded over way back ago. Dreams of an Absolution is awesome. Great
but
song.
It's silver, Ash.
That is and I've said I've had this conversation with other friends. Still, that song is the only thing I will give Silver. He has a great theme song. That is the only good thing about Silver.
Oh, come on. He has a great boss fight in Generations.
Yeah, because you're kicking his ass. Because you're beating him. Yes, exactly. Because you're doing damage to him. Yes, that is exactly why. I love that fight.
Yeah, it's a fun fight. But no, it's a good. Like we said, the music is usually the best part one of the best parts about the Sonic game.
Yeah.
It's guaranteed to, like, even if it's a bad game, the music is usually going to be pretty good, and it's a good sign already that, like, this is going to be good too.
Yeah, I don't, obviously there's always going to be that elephant in the room when talking about Sonic, which I don't necessarily think is deserved anymore. I mean, it was deserved for a while, but, even now people still talk about, it's a new Sonic game, it might suck. I treat Sonic games the way, at this point, Sonic has redeemed himself enough to the point where I treat upcoming Sonic games the way I treat any other upcoming game. It's too early to say. It might be great, it might be bad, but I'm not going to assume it's going to be bad just because it's Sonic. Because, as we've been saying, Derek, at least to us, in our taste, Sonic Generations and Sonic Colors were great. So, we have no reason to be worried.
There's no reason to say Sonic used to be good back in the days when Sonic was good, because no, that wasn't that long ago. Generations is not that far away. And since then, as far as main Sonic titles, we've had Sonic Lost World. I don't count Rise of Lyric because that was a different team. That's not to me. I can't count it. Like, that's not a great game, but that also wasn't Sonic Team.
Exactly.
So it's sort of whatever. It's sort of like not giving Sonic a path because Sonic Labyrinth sucks.
Exactly. I totally agree with you. And Sonic Lost World might not have lit the world on fire, but I don't think it was a terrible game either. Like, I think it was fine. So it wasn't. It was merely okay. Whereas some of the Generations was great, but I don't think it was like bad. It wasn't a turd like Sonic 2006. Not even close.
Exactly. So there's a thing people often do where they show the first line is always Sonic used to be good. It's like, no, that's not the case.
Sonic still is good now. Like, he went through a really bad middle formative years part of his life.
His teenage years were rough.
Yeah, his teenage years were really rough, but his classic years are great, and I would venture to say his modern years have been great, or almost as great.
Yeah, they've been very solid.
Very solid. The only thing I want to see happen now in Sonic Forces, if we're going to get 3 Sonics, Princess Elise needs to come back and bring her 2 cousins with her so that we can get 3 human girls kissing 3 Sonics in Sonic Forces.
I don't want to know about your fan fictions, Ash. I don't want to. You just keep that to your forums, and you can do whatever you want, but I want no part in it.
I still can't believe that actually happened. Even now, we could talk about it as many times as we want, and I'm still not going to be able to believe that ever actually happened in an official Sonic game.
Yeah, that Sonic dies and then gets brought back to life by a kiss. So
you can't make that up.
That's edgy. That's
but it would be one thing if it was like Amy's kiss, but no, it is a human girl's kiss. That's the kicker for me.
Yep, there you go. Actually, there is one thing I missed about the gameplay, and some people have reported this. I did not personally see it, but I'm going to go off the edge if it actually is true. But it seems some people are saying that they saw wisps in the Sonic Forces gameplay, and what would you think if they brought back Wisps? I cannot say that name.
Wisps.
Yeah.
I would personally rather not see that happen. I've never really liked the Wisps. They were something from Sonic Colors that I never really felt the need to see return. If they come back, I guess if they come back and they're more well implemented than they were in Colors and in Lost World, then fine. I was never really I don't know, convinced that they were necessary. I didn't think they were. I thought they were the worst part of Colors, and I thought they were the worst part of Lost World. I'll put it that way.
I agree with you on Lost World with the Wisps, but with Colors, I thought it really fit because the game was designed around them. We had explanations for them. It really
true.
I know it's dumb, but it really ticked me off that we didn't get an explanation for why they were suddenly there in Lost World.
Well, and I think that's kind of what I don't want to see happen again. I just don't want to keep seeing these things pop up because they had a reason to be there in Sonic Colors. Like, Eggman was trying to utilize the alien race for his own ambitions. They didn't have a reason to be there in Lost World. They were just there.
Yeah, they were just a gameplay element they brought back because, hey, people like these. And they weren't nearly as fun as they were in Colors. And honestly, I think they might... I hope they might have a reason for this because, it's Sonic Forces. They would be part of the Sonic Forces. So
Right.
We'll see what happens. But, I mean, it could happen. It'd be interesting to see Wisp gameplay within more generation-style boost gameplay because there was a lot of 2D sections in Sonic Colors. Not as much as the typical boost formula that you're used to from Unleashed and Generations. So it'd be interesting to see how they implement those in, or maybe just only one style uses the Wisps and the others don't, or who knows what they'll do. Like, there's a lot of, we got some, like I said, we got puzzle pieces, but we're not quite sure how they all fit together yet. And that's exciting to me.
No, me too. And my guess is that we're going to see the reveal of the third playable character or playable Sonic, whoever it is, at E3. I think that's what they're saving E3 for.
That makes a lot of sense. Just get it out there. It'd be big. People will be really excited for it. Yeah, it totally works. And I'm sure it'll probably be playable at E3 as well. So that'd be really cool to go hands-on with it and see what it's all about. Yeah, that was the South by Southwest Sonic panel. What'd you think overall?
I thought it was good. I think it was well-paced. It was, they kept teasing a lot of exciting small announcements, and they pretty much delivered on all of them. So, I don't think anyone wanted to see Sonic Mania get delayed, but these things happen, and if it means we're going to get an even better game in the end, I'm okay with that. And, I don't think there were really any... it didn't drag on too long. It was well-paced. We got lots of cool little, separate small nuggets of information about both Mania and Forces, so... I think it was a good panel. It delivered for me.
I mostly agree because the thing is about a lot of past Sonic South by Southwest panels is a lot of people were come in there really hyped for big announcements and stuff like that, and I was just maintaining okay, we'll probably get a release date, we'll probably get the name of Sonic 2017, and that'll be about it. So I actually got a little bit more than I was expecting, also a little bit less in terms of a release date, but whatever. But I'd still say overall this was a pretty decent panel. Plenty to talk about, plenty to get excited about, at least for now on a preliminary basis. Cannot wait to see more and see if it can really excite me for Sonic Forces. But so far, they're making the right steps.
Yeah, no, they're taking all the right steps for me. I have no reason to be worried about Sonic Forces. I think it's going to be fun. I like what I've seen so far, and the writing's on the wall for Sonic Mania. I've said enough about how unbelievably hyped I am for that. So, as a Sonic fan, I feel pretty good right now, and I feel much better than I certainly did, about 10 years ago. So, things are looking up.
Yeah, definitely. But alright, I think that covers it for our Sonic discussion, so thank you for watching, and if you liked this video, be sure to like us on Facebook and Twitter at GameXplain, and of course be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more on Sonic and other things gaming as well. Until next time, bye.